Hey guys, Non-Zero here, coach of the Pittsburgh Celestials, bringing you my Week 1 post-commentary from a match versus Gengar Raichu. So, for this match, I thought I had a pretty good matchup, and I'm just going to go over kind of a little bit about what my prep was, and then how the match went itself. So first here we have my prep. So, this is the team that I brought, and the main features of the team are Scarf Diggersby, which is kind of my win condition. His team didn't switch well into the combination of normal and ground stab, and so Adamant Diggersby just, I felt, would put in a lot of work versus his team. And there's also Celesteela with Rocky Helmet and Whirlwind, and just spike stacking. My idea was to try to pressure him to defog or even to rapid spin, because I had good answers to both of his rapid spinners, but especially if he was, like, say, sent out into Gligar and tries to defog on this mon, I have Thundurus to try to punish that. So I have Defiant Thundurus here with Yache Berry, so I can take one hit from Sneasel. And yeah, in general it just has coverage which more or less deals with this entire team. Superpower, if boosted, can actually just knock out Chansey, and these other moves just take care of the rest of his team more or less. We have specially defensive Venusaur. This was kind of my answer to Mega Blastoise. After I Mega Evolve, Mega Blastoise doesn't have too much to hit me with. Like, its general coverage is Ice Beam, Water Stab, generally like Dark Pulse or Aura Sphere, and it doesn't get that much to hit Spadef Mega Venusaur, right? Because Ice Beam obviously is not super effective because of Thick Fat. But yeah, that's the team. I also brought Expert Belt Latios with Calm Mind. Now obviously this thing can't break through Chansey, but I have enough answers to Chansey here. Between Venusaur, which can actually beat it 1v1 with Leech Seed and Knockoff, and also just my physical threats pressure it out. So my idea was that once Chansey is gone or like severely weakened, this mon can put in a lot of work. So that's more or less the team. Also, I named everything except for Darmanitan, but I'm sure I'll bring this guy in future weeks and find a clever nickname for him. If you have one for me, by the way, drop it in the comments below. But yeah, that's the team I brought, and so let's just go ahead and jump into how the match itself went. And we are back with the match. So the first thing I see when I look at this team is no electric communities. He didn't bring his Gligar, which I guess makes some sense because, you know, my Thundurus has ways of powering through Gligar with Knockoff and Hidden Power Ice, that sort of thing. So I'm looking for Thundurus to put in a lot of work with Volt Switch. It also outspeeds his entire team outside of Sneasel. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and jump into this battle, see what happens. So I lead off, sorry about that, with Thundurus, and he leads off with his Blastoise. So turn 1, I'm just going to Volt Switch. Like I said, no electric communities, and it'd be great to get damage off on this thing for Diggersby. I was also considering knocking here, but I didn't want him to be some wild like Spadef set that could take a hit and revenge me. So I felt like, you know, Volt Switch was my best play. And if he had stayed in there, I could have just gone out and tried to Mega with my Venusaur. So he goes Chansey here. As I go Darmanitan, and I go for the U-turn. Now, I do have Hammer Arm, which would have been able to definitely take him out from that range, because, you know, Life Orb, Sheer Force, that's all that. But the cool thing about that, by the way, is with Life Orb and Sheer Force, Hammer Arm doesn't actually drop your speed. Now the downside of that is moves like Flame Charge don't actually increase your speed. But anyways, I thought he'd be threatened out by this. As it turns out, he wasn't, but that's actually fine, because this does give me an opportunity to get up a couple of hazards. I wasn't sure here whether he'd want to get up hazards of his own. He just goes for Wish. I guess he was predicting like Flare Blitz or something, which I don't even think he took that. But anyways, get up my rocks here. As the U turns out, and I think here I just Whirlwind, I believe. Right. Yes. So I want to take advantage of these rocks as much as possible. So I whirlwind out. Unfortunately, I get like the one mon that threatens me out. I mean, his Blastoise does to an extent, but just about anything else I would have been able to click whirlwind again on. But he goes out into this, and I know that he's going for Volt Switch here, but there's no way I'm risking my win condition in Diggersby. So I think that's like a good point here. Like I could have made the Diggersby play, and then Scarf return would knock him out from there, but I didn't want to risk the one, like the risk was much higher than the reward there, because the reward's like maybe I get a big hit off with Diggersby, but the risk is that I just lose the mon that wins me the game in the end. So that's why I decided to go to this mon, and he goes out to his Jirachi. Now I don't want this thing to be you know, some kind of offensive psychic set, so I just hard switch into Celesteela. By the way, by this damage I can tell that he's offensive. By that Zen Headbutt damage, it might not seem like much, but this is max defense Skarmory. And so Calking will reveal that that's actually like max attack damage from his Jirachi, which is good to know for later. He's also item revealed to be leftovers, which means that he's not Shuka, and because he's like max attack and he's not Shuka, that means that no matter where he's at, he's always in range of Diggersby's Earthquake. So that's good to know. In terms of my Earthquake sweep, at this point I just have to deal with potential priority with Entei and Sneasel. Also obviously getting rid of the Levitator and Rotom, and then a bit more damage off on the Blastoise. So I think here I might Whirlwind again, as he gets a crit on Fire Punch, unfortunately. But you can see the crit does 40 damage, or 40%, which actually, again, means that it's offensive. I take this opportunity to Roost, as he wishes. Now this Chansey, the thing about this Chansey is, I want to keep it low, because as long as this Chansey's low, it's not going to be able to wish up his team, it's not going to be able to, like it does here. And it also frees up my Lottie if I'm able to get rid of his Chansey. He gets another crit for Fire Punch. You'll see actually that in this battle a lot of hacks just don't go my way, but anyways, let's continue. You see that the regular Fire Punch damage is actually about 28%, which is like a medium roll for, actually it's a high roll for max attack Jirachi. But I'm able to just chip away at him some with the Rocky Helmet here. And I believe I go for Whirlwind again here. Or no, I just switch into Lottie. Okay. So this works out for me because even though, as you see here, he turns out to be Scarf Rotom, I'm able to take the hit, take the crit, of course, and knock him back out with Ice Beam. So if that had flinched, I guess a flinch was much worse than a crit there. So I can't complain too much, because if I had flinched there, that would have been so much worse for me in terms of like long term. What I probably would have done is switched hard into Mega Venusaur and, you know, gotten off my Mega and clicked knockoff or something. But anyways, comes back into Jirachi. Now I've seen this thing as U-turn, and max attack U-turn does actually a lot to me, so like 60% or something. So I didn't want to roost off at that point. Instead I just get a bit more chip with the Rocky Helmet. As you can see, I'm not sure what the point of U-turn is, because it literally does 3 to me, and I mean it's doing like a 1/6 of his health. I do just Whirlwind here, so able to keep out the Entei, and thankfully he goes into his Sneasel, which means that I can get off another Whirlwind, I believe. Yes. So the rocks at this point are just a huge nuisance to him. And as long as I'm able to pressure his Chansey enough not to wish back his team, they're going to keep whittling things down. So he goes for the Iron Head flinches here, which is a fair play. It's definitely a fair play, because he's knocked off my leftovers at this point. So if he can get a couple of Iron Head flinches, I think he'd need like 2 more or something to put me in range of Fire Punch. So that's what he's going for there. As I just want to Whirlwind this guy out and keep my rocks doing the work, because right now the rocks are putting in the finest of work. I just hard switch here into Diggersby, not wanting him to take advantage of the wish, And also I kind of want to scout the damage on Blastoise, which I expect is going to be a switch in. And I see that it does 66% to Blastoise. So Blastoise is actually kind of offensive. It's got some bulk, I can tell from that damage, but not a lot of bulk. And so I'm pretty sure that, like, if I get the Blastoise to around 60%, then I'll be able to sweep with Earthquake, just clean sweep with Earthquake. Of course, it would be good to get the Sneasel out of the way because Ice Shard's going to do a lot, but in any case, I missed the Leech Seed there, which is a bit unfortunate because that would have been nice healing for later. But I have a 100% answer to this, and that is my Skarmory. As I go out to it, he finally gets the burn with Fire Punch, which isn't too much hacks because, you know, Serene Grace, you expect that to happen. But I think in this situation, what do? I think I just Whirlwind here. I'm less concerned about this being healthy than I am about just wearing down his team in general. And okay, he reveals that Fake Out again. So something I've noticed on his team, he had Fake Out on Blastoise, which confused me a bit because I didn't see really what that did against my team. I mean, it allows him to get a Mega off, but I mean, it's not really doing much for him. Like I thought Rapid Spin over Fake Out on Blastoise would have been a more interesting decision, but the fact that he had Fake Out kind of led me to believe he maybe didn't have Rapid Spin, which is why I'm trying to take advantage of these rocks as much as I can. But he also has Fake Out on Sneasel, which is really interesting to me. I was also curious based on Fake Out whether he had Ice Shard or not, or what his set was in general. But obviously that's going to put me in range of any attack, and he goes for the Ice Shard to knock me out. Now here I kind of bluff a Scarf because I'm trying to bait the Ice Shard. Now I can take an Icicle Crash because of my Yache Berry, but of course there's the flinch chance. So really what I'm doing here is, but by going into this so quickly, I want to bait it being Scarf. And so I want him to fear the Scarf and click Ice Shard here, and he does click Ice Shard. So maybe he was adamant, or maybe he just was thinking I was Scarf and wanted to get some chip off. But I'm able to take that really nicely because of the Yache Berry, and Volt Switch out into my Diggersby. Now the reason I got into Diggersby here is because since his Chansey is so low, his Chansey is not going to be able to Wish Up again, right? Because the only thing it could Wish Up against was my Skarmory. Skarmory having no attacks. So Chansey is literally never going to be able to click Wish again. That means that this Blastoise, assuming that his Jirachi is not Wish, which I guess I didn't know at this point that his Jirachi wasn't Wish, but I was kind of assuming it wasn't. And also his Jirachi is going to be, I think, too pressured to get a Wish Up. But in any case, any damage on this Blastoise is permanent damage, was my idea. Unless this thing was Rest or something, which I doubted. So anytime I can force it out and force it to take those rocks is closer to the Earthquake sweep that I have in mind. So he goes out here into Entei. As I click Knockoff, expecting maybe the Jirachi. Now unfortunately I don't actually deal with this mon too well. A Knockoff is banned, which means that I can take his attacks kind of well. But at this point, the most expendable member of my team is actually Latios. Despite the fact that Latios outspeeds his entire team, it's so low that it dies to E-Speed from this. It might die to some coverage from Jirachi. It kind of gets beat down by... I mean, it gets the necessary damage on Blastoise, but it also doesn't, at this point, knock out Chansey yet. So... actually, first here, so the first thing I did was I scouted. If he went for Flare Blitz here, then he knocks himself out with Recoil, and I know I can take one. So that's why I stayed in at first. I mean, getting the burn is a little unfortunate, but I know I'd be able to synthesis off the damage. I calced, and that was actually like a high roll, assuming he was max attack. So I'm just going to synthesis off one more time to get myself at a bit of a healthier situation to deal with Blastoise better. And then I'm going to go out and sack my Latios. As he misses Sacred Fire, unfortunately, but he's able to knock me out with the extreme speed. So at this point, I go back into Digger's Bay, and he goes for extreme speed again. So like, the thing is, I don't think he knew that I was Scarf at this point. And I haven't actually revealed that I'm Scarf at this point, because he might have been extreme speeding fearing a quick attack, for example. So at this point my set's not actually revealed, but I'm going to be able to force in one more time the Blastoise. And so you see the Blastoise is now getting really close to where it needs to be for me to sweep with Earthquake. He goes for the Fake Out here, which again I don't really understand too much. But as you can see here, he's able to 1v1 my Mega Venusaur over the next 2 turns, which is kind of hilarious, just with the Dark Pulse. Yeah, I think that his Mega Blastoise was the thing that actually has Serene Grace, and not his Jirachi. But in any case, I mean, so here's the thing: if I was able to get one hit off on this Blastoise, I put it in range of Earthquake, and then I'm able to take the clean 3-0 victory with Diggersby. The deal with this game is, as soon as Rotom Cut went down, my game plan was win with Earthquake. And if I'd gotten that one hit on Blastoise, then I'd be able to just click Earthquake 3 times, and that's it. But as it turned out, I'm not able to get that hit off, and so this is sort of an interesting point in the game. So I go out into Stash here with the idea that I can Volt Switch, as he does the smart thing and sacks his Chansey. So Chansey at this range is going to go down to the Volt Switch, and I believe, yes, I bring in Digger's Bay again. And so here's the thing. You saw earlier that Earthquake did 66, but calcing, based on his bulk, that might have been a higher roll, and so there's a chance that Earthquake doesn't kill here. This is sort of an instructive endgame, I think, because there's a way I can win here 100%, and there's a bunch of ways that I can choke away the game. And so the play that wins me the game 100% here is actually sacking my Stash, because no matter what play he goes for here, sacking Thundurus results in me getting off the necessary damage on this Blastoise, right? So I sack Thundurus here, and now I'm able to go out into Darmanitan and put him in a checkmate position, because Darmanitan outspeeds this Blastoise. He can't switch into the Jirachi because I'm going for Fire Punch here, and Jirachi's item's already confirmed. It's not Shuka Berry, it's not Aka Berry. You know, both Fire Punch and Earthquake are going to be able to take it out. And no matter what, I'm going to be able to get the necessary damage on this Blastoise to put it in range of Earthquake. So that's why I went for this play. So for example, if here, in this situation, if I had gone out and, say, sacked Darmanitan instead, and then gone out to Thundurus, there is a case where this Blastoise has like a lot of Spadef investment. It's actually not taken a especially defensive hit, so I'm not sure how bulky it is on that side. But if that is the case, that it's really especially bulky, it might be able to take a Volt Switch. And then I can just lose, right? Because if I'm not able to damage it enough, or if I'm forced into my Diggersby, then it's a situation where I might actually lose that endgame. But here I win at 100% because the Darmanitan forces the necessary damage onto the Blastoise, so that Earthquake can just pick up the win in the end. And that's exactly what happens. I get off damage with Fire Punch, knocks me out, and then I just click Earthquake twice. And that's going to be a good game. So good game to Gengar. He brought a lot of the threats that I was really worried about, especially Entei. Entei was a huge one. I was thankfully able to pressure it with rocks, and I mean, it switched in I think 3 times to rocks, and the first 2 times it was whirlwinded out. So in any case, that's going to be week 1 of the DGBA. Start off with a 1-0 victory, and yeah, see you guys next time. Peace.